What has Excelsior's domain been picking up from eBay? Let's have a look. Now, you might be getting a strange sense of deja vu here, and you would be partially correct. This is not dissimilar to another retro news agency sort of space fighter Viper come X-Wing ripoff, for want of a better description, which I reviewed a little while ago, and I'll throw that one up as a little card right now for you to go and have a look at. But this one is another one, clearly from the same makers, which I knew about, but hadn't been looking for at all. And as you can see from the colour scheme here, this is very much a sort of a Battlestar Galactica Viper version of it. The previous one was a sort of a more of a sort of a black get-up, but they appear to be essentially identical toys. And you may immediately be able to tell from this that this is not in fact an English version of it. Although it says Star Force Fighter-1 Star Force, the box says Elettronica motore con suono all'inizio missili ali transformabili caggiage spaziali. So it's Italian, basically. It's Italian. That's where I got it from. I got it from Italy. Because eBay did that eBay thing that it does from time to time and chucked this at me as a suggestion. And it wasn't actually ridiculously expensive at all, even with the postage. So I thought it would be rude not to, because it's probably unusual for someone to have both the black one and the white one at the same time. So I haven't looked at this closely. I haven't actually got it out of its box yet. So this is an unboxing, from my point of view at least. And it still amazes me that they got away with this for any length of time, because it is so very, very, very clearly a rip-off of both an X-Wing fighter and a Battlestar Galactica Viper. And yeah, I just don't understand how they managed to do it, but clearly they did, presumably because I don't even know how heavily this one was marketed. I've kind of forgotten what I learnt about it from the last time I looked at from the black version of it. But it's it's I still think they're cool. It's a great little idea, because you've got these separate winglet fighters that just separate off and go off and do their own sort of business. They launch missiles from from the little fighters there as well, if the missiles are still around. And I believe there are some in here, which is nice, if they're in there. And then it's also got a cockpit, so the cockpit will allow you to sit. And in fact, I tested it last time with Luke Skywalker, and he will fit in there. So if you have typical sort of Star Wars scale figures, they will actually sit in here, which I thought was a stroke of genius on their part, because it means that you can happily sort of reuse existing figures, and they didn't have to do their own. It's very, very clever. But I just love the fact that this is exactly the same as the one I had before, effectively, but it's Italian. So how many different countries did this thing actually reach in its lifetime? It's the sort of thing that just boggles my mind slightly, that they went to the effort of actually internationally distributing this, basically, at the time. So you've got to hand it to them, fair dues. They tried, they were actually making a good go of it. So let's actually have a look at this thing now. This is the point at which, typically for me, I wreck the box. It should just be a straight lift up. Let's go like that. Great big hunk of polystyrene. That's what we like to see. Nothing like a great big hunk of polystyrene there. So let's have I mean, it's not in bad condition from the looks of it in terms of the box. Ooh, it's a nice bit of yellowing there. It's a nice bit of yellowing. That's never ideal, but I mean, this is what it is. I say it wasn't massively expensive. But here you see, yellowing notwithstanding, I've got original stickers, and I've got original missiles. In fact, and I have 2 original missiles, no less. So, if you wanted to try and reproduce those, you've now got a template to work from. I have absolutely no idea how many of these still exist in the wild. I would imagine probably not that many. But nonetheless, they are there. It's even got the it's got the sort of engine flares there. Just grab this light so I can show them a little bit more clearly. So that's quite cool as well. So I can see how they did the engine effect. Basically, you just had to stick them on. I have no idea if those stickers would still work, but nonetheless, they could be stuck on independently of their original glue, I guess. So certainly a distinct possibility there that you could resurrect it to some extent if you were so inclined. But just remarkable to get one with everything in it, with its missiles. I think that was what kind of drew me to this. I just thought that can't be that common to actually be able to see the missiles. And that's squeaky. So, and I have to say, the size of it, the fighters are huge. There's a great big clunky separate fighters. I mean, actually, and the yellowing on that is actually very, very slight. I mean, that's pretty white for its age. That's pretty remarkable. I mean, I didn't actually notice on the box a year. Let me just see if I can calm date it now that the top is off it. But I didn't immediately see a year mentioned, so it might be one of those times when perhaps you caught that on the video, but I didn't when I was just in the course of filming. I must say I can't actually see a year just from the side flaps there, so I wouldn't really care to hazard a guess on that basis. But I bet these launchers still work. It's obviously got a sort of a little sort of flick mechanism there, so it's entirely possible that would actually still fire, I suspect. I mean, what I might do is try the missiles in the black version as well, just out of interest, and see if they are actually compatible. And of course these are electronic. So what I might do is see if this one will do what my previous version did not do, because it just didn't have its wiring anymore. In fact, let's just see if this has got wiring. But it's a clever idea basically turning a Viper into a laser gun is what they've done. I mean, it's a novel approach to sort of spaceship repurposing. So yeah, it's cool. I just like that they had the chutzpah to do it in the first place. To actually sort of take a really well-known spacecraft and completely, just co-opt it for their own purposes. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's not. It's still got its original stickers, just waiting to be applied after all these years. It's crazy. Right, let's just see if I can. You can see it's got the big sort of speaker gaps there, which is classic for this sort of time period. Now then, can I get into that without any sort of tool, I wonder? I think rather than watching me fiddle with it, I will pause briefly and come back to you. Okay, moment of truth. Got the battery compartment off, and this is where it says Kingsford Limited, which is exactly what it said on the previous version, of course. Hong Kong produced, apparently. Now then, as you can see, it does indeed have its contacts there, and we're going to see if we can make contact. Let's have a look. Is this going to work for me? No pressure, it's only sort of, something that's probably never been heard on YouTube before. Okay, we have contact. Yeah. That went about as well as expected. Now, there is oh! Wow, it's properly alive. Okay. That's brilliant. That's awesome. I don't know why it is, but it just is. What were the odds of that working? I mean, seriously. What were the odds? Pop that in there. And it's the bulbs are lighting up as well. It's one of those. It gets higher as you hold it down. The longer you hold it down. It's got this little dial control there for the engine noise. Oh, and that's off. That is incredible. That is incredible. Isn't that bonkers? It's come all the way from Italy, down several decades, and it still works. That is crazy. That is absolutely certifiably crazy. Ah, dear. Things you don't expect to be doing on a Thursday night. That would be one of them. That would definitely be one of them. What puzzles me is why the wings are so white compared to the rest of the ship. It's as if someone has had it on display in the sun, but not actually put the oh, isn't that playing ball? But not actually put the wings on it whilst it's been sat in the sun. So you get I get the feeling that maybe the what if that's the wrong side? Does it matter? It shouldn't matter. I wonder if the wings just stayed in the box because they didn't realise it was, or they just preferred it without the wings on. I don't know. Okay, that one's on now, happily. And again, see, this is just clever because it just literally just slots on. So there's no sort of cleverness to it in that sense. It just slots on. So there you go. So that is the sort of the totality of it there, and it's a shame that it's yellowed a little bit. I'm half tempted to do one of those. I discovered there's a thing called Retro Bright, which is apparently sort of well known in the States as a restorative, but. And you know, white plastic. If you're gonna put it onto anything, you put it onto white plastic. But the thing with it is, I think it may make the actual plastic more brittle if it were to be tried, which would obviously be a shame. And I haven't actually been able to find a direct equivalent here in the UK. I mean, basically, all of this stuff is hydrogen peroxide, and I did read recently that apparently both UV and heat can yellow white plastic. It doesn't necessarily have to be exposed to UV; just heat could do it. So maybe it's just been somewhere just generally kind of warm, but for whatever reason, the wings were somewhere else. But I still think it's a good. I mean, by rights, it's the sort of toy where you sort of think it has no right to be as good as it is for the price it probably wasn't when it originally came out. And it is a classic, great big hunk of plastic spaceship from the 80s and possibly the late 70s. But I don't know. It just does make me smile, just because I think the sheer chunkiness of it makes me smile, because it is just such a big ship, and the fact that I've been able to get one and it works, and the cockpit's in good shape, and I've got the original missiles and the original stickers, and it was cheaper than the black one. It's just funny. It's just incredible what you can turn up on eBay. It really is. So. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of it. What can I say? I can't quite explain why, but I just love the fact that no one else thought to make a Viper this size. I don't think, to my knowledge. And why would you not make a Viper this size that you could put action figures in? I mean, you'd be crazy not to, wouldn't you? Really? It's a one-man fighter. It clearly had X-wing style potential, and yet they didn't seem to do it at the time at all. It's really weird. I don't know. Just one of those curious little quirks in life, I guess. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. As yellowed as it is, bless it. But let me know in the comments what you make of this delightful blast from the past. And I will see you for another random eBay pickup, no doubt, sometime in the near future. Cheers for now.